Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Charles Sturt University Virtual Information Night. We're so excited to have you with us for this session on how to become a teacher. My name is Megan Watkins, and I'm joined today by academics from the School of Education at Charles Sturt University. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping notes. If you do not wish to have your name recorded during the Q&A discussion at the end of the presentation, please choose to remain anonymous when submitting a question. The last 5 to 10 minutes will be dedicated to answering your questions live from our panelists. So please feel free to pop questions into our Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If we don't get to your question, we'll provide contact information for you to reach out to us and speak to one of the teams. First, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. We would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri, Ngunnawal, Gundungurra, Biripi peoples of Australia, who are the traditional owners and custodians of the lands on which Charles Sturt's campuses are located, and pay respect to their elders, both past and present. It's my pleasure to introduce our academics from the School of Education. Course Director for a range of undergraduate education programs, Dr. Rachel Hutchison, and Course Director for the Master of Teaching Primary, Dr. Claire Power. Rachel, did you want to start and introduce yourself and Claire?
Yes, I would love to. Both Claire and I have been working quite a long time in this area. I started out as a primary teacher and have ended up teaching across early childhood, primary, secondary, until I found my niche and love of teaching at university with tertiary students. I'll just tell you a little bit. I run just a few of our different courses that we have here. So I've got the Bachelor of Education Secondary, and we'll talk about that later on, in the industry entry, K-12, and the TAS. We work very closely together, the course directors and I, and we've had quite a lot of experience inside and schools and inside of academic areas with education. Claire, did you want to talk a little bit what you do?
Yeah, so like Rachel, I'm a course director. I'm the course director for the Master of Teaching Primary. A long time ago, I was a primary school teacher and came to Charles Sturt as a workplace learning coordinator, so finding placements for students, starting their professional experiences, and then I moved into the course director role. And it's really exciting you're here teaching such a great profession, for the relationships you build with students, with your colleagues, and it's a really good opportunity to make a difference in so many ways to people's lives, to learning and to building community. So I hope we can persuade you of the benefits of joining this great career.
And next slide, please. We've told you just a little bit about ourselves. We're just wondering, because we only have a few people here, is anyone keen enough to jump on a microphone and tell us their name and perhaps where you're from and maybe why you might be interested in looking into teaching? And for those people who aren't really keen to have a chat, if you don't mind putting it in to the chat box or the question and answer, where are we putting those responses, Megan?
We can put them into the chat.
Into the chat. So do we have anyone that might be keen? It's a little bit scary talking in front of everybody. While we're thinking about people might be putting some stuff in the chat, Claire, can you remember why you wanted to be a teacher? I remember mine.
Yeah, you go.
I remember, I think we all have a story about a teacher that we really enjoyed. My mum and dad, I think my dad left in year 9 in school. My mum left in year 10, I think. So I was one of the first to go through to university, which a lot of our CSU students are, at first people in the family to go through. And I just remember I was really naughty at school. Claire, were you lovely at school? I was very naughty at high school. And I remember I had a teacher I really loved and a teacher that I really didn't love. And I think between those two made me want to be a teacher, but also be a teacher that understood kids that didn't quite fit the mold of being a perfect, successful teacher, a student. So it sort of made me want to strive to understand how to include all kids in class. So it had that passion of wanting to teach and how to do it probably a little bit better than the teacher that didn't like me. So that's my background with teaching. Claire, did you have a little story for teaching?
Well, I did a Bachelor of Arts and it was in peace education, and there wasn't a lot of direct work in the field, and I was pregnant with my first child and wondering what I was going to do with my life, and had always loved working with children and felt like I had a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and looked around at what I could do and remembered how much I'd loved primary school and thought I would move into teaching, and it ended up being a great career for working around having small children and becoming part of a community. Yeah, so it wasn't perhaps quite as clear cut as yours in a way, but I fell into it and was really glad that I had.
And I can see Andrew has written, he's picked up on a little bit of what you've said as well, with having a young child. I think it's important. I think it's a lot of people go into that profession, not only because they're passionate, but because it does have that flexibility of when you have kids to be able to work around school holidays.
Mm.
Oh, and I can see Andrew also has told us that he's interested in being a Hissy High school teacher. I'll be able to help you out with that. And you've got lots of different experience. We found we have a lot of people like that, Claire, and the different, and Megan, in the ones that we have different presentations, that a lot of people either come from backgrounds of teachers, have just not been sure, but teaching, because they did enjoy being around with kids and working with kids, that teaching was good. And other people like yourselves, Claire, where it was suitable. It was the right choice for the right circumstances at the right point in life. And some other people that might not have answered might not know quite yet. And while we're sort of starting to go through, it'd be really good if people could just type into our chat what they might be hoping to get out of this session. So you don't have to talk about that now. We'll keep going forward and we can come back to that question at the end to see if anyone had anything that we haven't covered. So maybe if we move on to the next slide, please. And I think Claire's going to
Yes, so this is me. So why would you study teaching at Charles Sturt University? Well, we're passionate about teaching in the School of Education. We've been teachers. Charles Sturt has been teaching teachers for more than 70 years, so that's a long time to gather a lot of expertise and knowledge. And we're also very contemporary, of course, and moving with new innovations. Our courses are fully accredited, so when you leave, you are also fully accredited as teachers. There's a very strong demand for new teachers, both nationally and internationally. Teaching is an evolving, challenging and rewarding profession. Every day is different. You don't wake up and know what's going to unfold on that day in front of you. We have flexible study options, full-time and part-time. A lot in my course, 50% of students, the masters, are studying part-time. So you can move between full-time and part-time. You can adapt your study patterns to suit your changing life circumstances. We aim to find you placements at a location of your choice, and we'll talk more about that later. So lots of reasons to study teaching with us. We're very committed to students having a really fulfilling, meaningful and supported experience while you're studying at Charles Sturt.
We might move the next slide,
The
please.
next slide. Did it move?
Oh, yes, it changed to a little bit about workplace learning. And this is a bit more reasons to study.
All right. So I've said, yes, I said
I
all of
think
this.
you said
So
all of this stuff, yeah.
yeah.
So maybe we
Megan.
can move to the next one.
So look at all these stars that Charles Sturt has, and the #1. So we're #1 in Australia for education postgraduates who get jobs. And in the smaller font, 95% of grads get full-time jobs within 4 months of graduating. So that's pretty reassuring. And in teaching as well, as I said before, teachers are in great demand at the moment. So it's a really good time to be coming into the profession. And there's lots of adaptations being made to help students get a lot of work experience as well throughout your courses. We're a 5-star uni for education overall, educational experience for the student support that we offer. 5 stars for the education learning resources. So a lot of our courses are online, and we need to make sure that that's a really enriching experience for you. We have workshops and tutorials that are live, but there's also a lot happening in it's called the learning management system space, where you'll be engaging with lots of learning modules and learning materials. So we've got 5 stars for that as well, and 5 stars for education postgraduate grad salaries, which is enticing, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Next slide.
Yes. So
Right.
we're breaking this into 2 different short sections. So for the people who are planning to start a career, and for the people who are considering a career change. So often our planning to start a career can range from school leavers up to people who perhaps were in a career in their 20s, getting closer to their 30s, and haven't quite done anything to do with teaching, but would like to just start a teaching career. And our career changes, we have people from all different walks of life, different trade people, they're carpenters, plumbers, food tech, people coming into the GET course, which the Master of Teaching, which Claire will talk about, people that can use their backgrounds to actually come into a course to reduce the amount of time that they're studying to get out to be a teacher. So if we can move to the next slide, we will start the discussion on starting a career. So these are our ones that you can use as a starting your career out. So the Bachelor of Education Primary, and that can be either completely online or completely on campus. And this is a brand new course that is rolled out for the first time this year. And there's even probably a possibility of a little bit of mix there. So you might start off on campus and find that you get some work, so you'd like to move to online. That's the same with our Bachelor of Education K-12, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Our other one is the Bachelor of Education Secondary. So we have a number of different teaching areas. So we've got English, maths, science, PE, and creative arts, and HISI, which is our modern history, geography, business studies, and legal studies. All of these courses are completely online except for PE, because PE is required to have things like aquatics and gymnastics and sporting games. There's about 5 or 6 subjects over the total of your degree that has to be on campus at one of our available campuses. And the science, everything's online except a few of the subjects in the sciences might have like a 2-day intensive school in Wagga. Now, Bachelor of Education K-12, it's actually a mixed mode. So it says on campus there because we do start on campus, but we do have a mix of on-campus and online subjects. And as you move into year 3, they tend to be all online there, unless you specifically want to stay on campus, and we can move some things around to keep that on-campus experience going. Now, the Bachelor of Education Technology and Applied Studies is our TAS, and in that course, you can pick up food technology, industrial technology, which is the timber and metal. You can pick up agriculture or information technology. Now, that one is completely online. Agriculture does have the option to be able to have an on-campus experience, because most of the ag subjects can be studied on campus, or if they're online, there's intensives for most of them too, because you're working with cattle and crops on farms. So that one is another one for people interested in TAS. So that's our main starting a career in education ones. I think if we move forward, Claire, we'll talk about, oh, actually, have we missed no, it's moved to,
No,
it's okay.
you're going to talk about the entry
Okay.
requirements. Yeah.
The entry requirements into all of those ones is a minimum of 65 ATAR. So that's if you've come straight from school. Some people come in through the vet study. So if you've completed a Cert 3 in anything at all, or you've got at least 50% of a diploma, again, in anything at all, it doesn't have to be education, you can come in. Some people come in because they've got a couple of university subjects that they might have studied, or they come through our Bachelor of Educational Studies and they pick up 2 university subjects. And once you've done that, that actually gives you a basis of an ATAR for you to be able to come then into our other Bachelor of Education courses. And also we have some work and life experience for people that are Defence Force, police and fire, and more that's written there on that slide. So that's the part of our entry requirements. And if we go to the next stage, we've also got another couple of little optional ones. Of the Charles Sturt Advantage, that's typically people coming through the HSC. So they get like an early entry offer. There's Indigenous access, the school's recommendation scheme. A lot of people, if they don't have an ATAR, really keen to study, will come and do our university undergraduate certificate. We call it UCUP, just to have it as an acronym. And it's where you pick up a couple of subjects. Some of them can be used at credit, depending on what course you want to go into. But it basically gives you, once you've passed that 6-month course, it gives you a guaranteed entry into one of our Bachelor of Educations. And I might, there's also the elite athletics, but I might, Claire, do you mind with the English language proficiency? I haven't had a lot to do with that. Do you know a lot about that?
Well, the IELTS test is one of the ways of getting, it's different in the graduate entry because a completed undergraduate degree in a Commonwealth country essentially will give access to our course. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I think is it similar to like a certain level of English and of English skills? If you're
perhaps we can put the link in the chat.
Yes, we might do that. We'll pop the link in the chat for that, Megan, if that's okay, because it sort of, this gets done behind the scenes for us. But typically it relates to people that have come in from an international background, and looking at just having English skills that make sure that they're not disadvantaged at all when they come into a course from CSU. And if we might move across to our next one. And is there any questions just about those early career, the very first starting of a career?
Andrew's asked, does his UAI from 2007 still apply?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but have you done some different things, Andrew, that as well, maybe some different studies, because I noticed I can see you have done some business development and economics.
Diploma.
Oh, yes. So a diploma, yeah, 100%. So you would have no issue at all coming into one of the bachelors there as in the beginning. And those bachelor ones that we talked about, they're a 4-year full-time course. That's all of them. And longer if you want part-time then. And it can be very flexible, as Claire mentioned in the beginning. So we have people that start off full time and then they'll email us and go, oh, can we have a chat? Because I might need to go down to 1 this session and I'll jump back up to 4 next session or 2. So we are very flexible and we work very closely with you to make sure that we set up a plan that suits your life and what's happening in your life at the time. And I'm not sure if anyone else had any other questions. We might be able to move forward. We might have some questions at the end. So if we go to our next slide. And this is a part of the career changer. So these are for my people that have come from trades, or if you've perhaps, there's two different sections here with the industry entry. We have people that can come in with a TAS or a trade experience, and there's people that have come in, they've done at least 16 subjects at a previous university or even from CSU. And at least 2 of those subjects are in the teaching area that they'd like to study. And those teaching areas include maths and English, science and HISI, which again is your geography, your modern history, business studies. And basically, we give you a very generous credit package. So if we take, for instance, if you're a carpenter, so if you're a carpenter and you've got an apprenticeship and you have at least 7 years experience in the trade, then we can look at your application, and if you're successful, you get 88 points of credit if you're a carpenter, which takes a year and a half off your degree. So it can be a 2.5-year full-time or longer part-time degree. And we have plumbers, electricians, metal fabricators. So we have quite a few things there, some chefs, and as it's mentioned in there. And the same thing goes with the 16 previous university subjects. You get credit for 88 points of your course, which drastically reduces it. And on top of that, we also have there's a NESA, I have to say it the right way, NESA, our governing body of education. They allow people, once you get to 75% of your course completed, and this is for the 4-year courses and this particular industry entry one, once you get to 75%, you're actually allowed to apply for a conditional teaching number. So you can get out teaching before you even graduate. And I'm sure Claire would attest to it as well. Most of my 3rd years that are heading into their final year in all of these already have contracts and they're out there teaching. They get to their first placement, which Claire will have a chat about in the next few slides, the different professional experience, and schools are snapping them up left, right, and centre. They can't get our students fast enough. So I know we're on a time frame, so I might let the next slide go and Claire can talk about a different way in as a career changer.
Yes, just Rachel Andrews asked, is there someone to meet with to discuss my specific experiences and circumstances to determine if I'm eligible for course credit?
100%. You can talk with me if you're interested in any of the ones that I've talked about. And I think we can get Megan to put the FOA course email. And if you were to put attention Rachel Hutchison in there, or even just Rachel, and put the Bachelor of Education, it'll come through to me and we can organise a time to chat and we'll meet on the phone and have a chat.
So I'm going to talk briefly about the Master of Teaching Secondary and the Master of Teaching Primary, which are called graduate entry courses. So they can be completed in 2 years. And these are for students who've completed an undergraduate degree previously in their life and have worked in other fields, or perhaps as student support officers before they decide that teaching is a path for them. If you haven't quite completed an undergraduate degree or if you're interested in teaching secondary, in particular teaching areas which you might not have quite enough subjects in, you can enroll in our Bachelor of Education Studies course. So that's like a pathway into the graduate entry courses. So that's a really worthwhile option to pursue. So bachelor degrees from an overseas uni can count for the Masters of Teaching Primary, Megan? Yes. So to enter our course, so I've said this, full-time and part-time options are available. We have work placements, so professional experience placements, 2 block placements in these courses, and 1 short 5-day observation. So in your first session, so that you get to go into a school and start to get the feel of it and consider that this is the right place for you to be, or that you want to explore a bit more and keep going and then have a longer block placement, which you can do by your 9th subject in the graduate entry courses. Just like I said before with our learning resources, these are fully online, but we have interactive subject sites, we have live workshops and tutorials weekly. So there's lots of opportunities for interaction and for getting to know your peers. Lots of people end up making good friends through the online courses, through perhaps group work, or we often go into breakout rooms where students get to talk to each other, find common interests. And of course, there's social media groups where students join up with each other as well. So you can commence either of these courses in session 1 or session 2, and you will come out with expertise ready and excited to become a primary or secondary teacher. If you want tailored advice, as Rachel said, we'll put the, it's already in the chat. So FOAE-course, there's an email in the chat that you can contact to get more specific advice after this session. The next slide, please, Megan. So professional experience, so often the highlight of a course. And this is where you get to put the theory into action and to put your studies into practice yourselves. So you'll watch your supervising teachers, you'll be immersed in the classroom experience, and on placement you build up to high teaching load in your very final placement, but the first placement says a lot of opportunity for observation, small group teaching, and then, you know, smaller steps into teaching 1 or 2 lessons a week as you become more confident and get to know your class and their needs. So it's a really great experience. As I said, we seek to find placements within areas that you nominate and within the limits of those areas, but you'll have a personalised workplace learning coordinator who will source your placement for you. Students don't source their own placements. Each course has a particular number of days. Well, it varies from course to course. So in the graduate entry programs, it's 60 days placement, and 2 of these placements, the block placements, so they're blocked because they're 25 to 30 days, must be completed at 2 different schools. With Rachel, with your courses,
Yes,
a bit longer.
I was just, thank you for, I was going to jump in at the end, but thank you. Yes, because I was talking about so many, we have a bit of a different variety. With our K to 12, we have 5 placements because we need to have a little spread of primary and a little spread of secondary. The first few range between 7 days and 15 days. Then we have a 20 block a 20 block one, which is used actually in the other one. So the TAS and the industry entry and the BEd secondary, we use our first one as a 20 block. Then we have 2 final ones, which are both 30 days each. And that's for all of the courses. And it's near either a primary or secondary, depending on what course that you're in.
And there's quite an exciting innovation that's occurred for students, so that the final placement, if you have a contract, can be at a school. So your first placement or placements will be fully supervised, where you're mentored, and really important opportunities for your growth, like your apprenticeship to the profession. But due to the teacher shortage, NESA, our regulatory body, have introduced this opportunity whereby your final placement is sort of like an internship. So you can be paid while you're teaching, while you're doing your placement, if you have a contract. Anything else about placements we should say at this point, do you think, Rachel?
I think with the global experiences, they're ones that are optional, that people pay for themselves. Every now and then, it depends on how many people are interested. CSU offers a program at a different country, and it can be used as a reduction of some of the days in certain courses of your placements. And I see that Andrew's put a good question up there about advice for people who might be working full-time. We have so many people and I'm sure in Claire's as well, that are working full-time, and so they have a part-time study load. What we do is in the courses that I take care of, and Claire can talk more about hers, is that we have a set planner. So you will know exactly when, if you follow the course progression, the way that it's planned out, you'll know exactly when you're going to be doing your placements. So you'll have plenty of time to talk to employers. Often by the time you get to the placements in the fourth year ones, in the 4-year courses, you already have picked up teaching. So it's a little bit more flexible with the casual teaching. But there are different flexible situations, aren't there, Claire, for people that are working full-time in some of the earlier placements? Some flexibility around maybe doing 3 days and 2 days, depending on if it's a very early placement. So you extend, instead of doing 3 weeks in a block, you would extend it and do 3 days in the school and still work 2 days. But we're open to trying to work out all kinds of different solutions to help people manage. There's also scholarships and that you can apply for at CSU and also through the Commonwealth. How much is it? Claire, do you know how much the scholarship?
I'm hesitant to
Yeah,
say in
I don't
case
know
I get it
either.
wrong.
Me too. But there is a supplement that it's not like your competitive scholarship. It's for all people that are in a teaching degree that's approved by NESA and accredited by NESA, that you can have a supplement. So there's a certain amount of money that can come to you when you're out on a placement. And we have different financial scholarships. And I can see Megan's popped in. She's actually popped both of those in for us. There's definitely some support there. Thank you, Megan. And good question, Andrew.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we emphasize our tailored approach, that we really like to get to know our students and to help you work out the best approach for your circumstances within the limits of all the requirements that we need to meet as well.
Yeah,
But certainly it's not just a one size fits all approach that we'd take.
definitely. We might move to the next slide then, if that's okay. Thanks, Megan. And we have lots of different opportunities. Obviously, the very obvious one, you can be a teacher in a primary or a secondary school. Our NESA accredited course can let you teach in states, independent Catholic schools. You can travel overseas. Many Western countries and different areas will have you as a teacher. And then you can move even out from that teaching into different even parts of the Department of Education. There's so many different sectors in the Department of Education that you could look at, into leadership, definitely consultancy. There's lots of research, or you could go out and do some teaching and come back and join Claire and I and be an academic at a university. So, and there's a lot of different things too, isn't there, Claire? Because once you've got that teaching degree, it opens up different doors. So you might have some different background that might get you into not so much a school, but into different companies that need people to be trained and taught. So there's a lot of different areas there that you can branch out for. So we might move to the next slide. Thank you. And this is actually just what I already mentioned. So I'll let you have a little read through there with our conditional accreditation. And as Claire has said so a number of times, with our shortage of teachers in New South Wales and across Australia, most people are using this once they hit that 75%, because it's a very nice wage, to put it mildly, for casual teaching once you get out there. And what it does is it often frees up people to be able to continue studying, because what you get in 3 days of casual teaching can be quite a fair bit, and it can leave you a couple of days then open to do some studying. I'm not sure, did you have anything to say? I'm not with your course.
Well, just that it's 50%. So once you've done
50%.
50% of the Masters of Teaching Primary or Secondary, you can apply for conditional accreditation and begin teaching.
So that's, and also takes the pressure off. I remember when I went through, you just couldn't teach until you graduated. So there was always this pressure, I've got to get to the end quickly. Whereas a lot of people, they set their little goals for the 75% or maybe the 50%, and then you feel the stress removed a little bit. And often some of them even cut down a subject. So they can work but not feel that stress of I've got to finish. So I think this has been very useful stress-wise for a lot of our students and financial-wise, having this.
And as well as professional experience, this adds depth to your study as well, because you're making all the connections in the subjects you're studying to what you're seeing in the school, and being able to apply it while you're teaching. And a lot of this teaching can be casual, so doing a day here or there, or you might find that you're snapped up for short-term or even longer-term contracts as well. So lots of opportunities through this initiative.
Okay. We might move to the next slide, please, Megan. We've got some question times just on anything that we've already said, if anyone had any questions. I know we're giving a lot of information here, so I hope it's not too overwhelming.
We did have a question here from Megan in the chat. So it says, will my bachelor's degree from an overseas uni count for the Masters of Teaching Primary?
Yes, I did answer that when I was talking about the graduate entry program.
Perfect.
But yes, it will.
Excellent. So are there any other questions? We can just pop them into the chat or into the Q&A box there. Otherwise, I've got a couple of questions that have come in. Great, thank you. So if someone has a certificate 3 or 4 in school-based education support, can I get credit into the bachelor degree?
So now that's another little area which we haven't talked about here, but then we have another pathway for people who are in that situation that are aiming to get some credit for the Ed support, the Cert 3 in Ed support. We have a pathway that you have 2 little jumps in it. So you start out in the Bachelor of Educational Studies. Now that course itself is 3 years full-time, longer part-time. It's 192 points, but that course itself doesn't make you a teacher, and it's not NESA accredited. So that specifically is where you would get all of your discipline subjects, a few different teaching subjects, but it has the flexibility to be able to give 64 points for a cert in education support. So we have a lot of people going through there that are also teaching aides or SLSOs, and we have some different programs there that help support different scholarships and different programs to help support people in those circumstances. And once you've graduated, that you then apply for the Master of Teaching, either secondary or primary, and you do a year in there. Usually the Masters is a 2-year by itself, as Claire has been telling us about, but when you do it in combination with the Bachelor of Educational Studies, you actually study 8 of the subjects in the Master's subjects in the Bachelor of Educational Studies. So that cuts down a year off the Master's. So it really is a 4-year course, just like the rest of my ones that I talked about in the beginning, but there is a lot more flexibility for credit in that course. And you'd come out with 2 degrees, your Bachelor of Educational Studies and your Masters of Teaching.
I've just got a couple other questions that have come through. So one of them was about placement. It says, can I choose my location for placement?
Yes. So you can nominate where you would like us to source you a placement, and we will contact schools in that area. And then we need, if placements are not available, then we'll just move further out in a radius up to 1 hour from your home.
Great. And this is also about placements. So it says, how do placements work? Are students supported in finding centres to do their placements? And you sort of answered it, but maybe you can
Yeah, so
expand a bit.
students aren't allowed to source their own placements, and we have dedicated academics who are called workplace learning coordinators, whose role it is to understand where students need to do their placement and how many days and everything according to the course that they're enrolled in. And then they approach the school to find the right fit for each student.
Great, thank you. And I think this is our last one. So, how do you prepare students for working with diverse children and families, including those with additional needs or from different cultural backgrounds?
That's a great question. And we actually have, and I think Claire will also jump in as well. Our course is designed to scaffold you into understanding how to differentiate or how to alter, have different alternative ways of teaching to help engage the different needs, the very diverse needs. And you walk into a classroom, and as you all would know, having been in a classroom yourself, at some point in time, is that kids come from all different walks of life and learn in different ways and understand in different ways and excel in different pathways and different ways of doing assessments and stuff. So it's woven throughout our whole course. And Claire teaches into different courses as well, different subjects, sorry, Claire, that would include that understanding of how to deliver content, how to have assessments that help young people in the way that they learn and the way that the needs that they have to understand information and be able to get that back out again in their assessments. But Claire, you might want to add here.
Well, I'd just add, in the master's courses, we have a dedicated subject called Designing Inclusive Education, which includes 5-day observation in a school. And then that's right at the beginning of the course, so that that understanding threads through all of your subjects and you develop that understanding throughout the course. And then we have a diversity subject as well, which is sort of more at the end of the course, so you have time to reflect on everything that you've learned and look at some of the critical issues in education and how you're going to be approaching those issues as a teacher as well.
That's yes, and we do similar to Claire. We have dedicated ones, but also we also have a lot of so just say, for instance, K to 12, you will do some discipline subjects. So you might do maths and primary and science and learn all about what to teach. And then we have specific subjects that couple with them about how to teach them. And they just keeps getting built on all the way through. And you'll learn about how to have diverse ways of teaching and understanding. And then you'll end up doing lesson plans and units of work that will help you start putting it down on paper, what it might look like. And as Claire mentioned, then you pop into a classroom to have your blocks, and then you see how it works in a classroom. So the theory matches that practice of what you've been writing about and all the lesson plans that you've been practicing doing.
Great, thank you so much. I think there was a few more, but we might move along and we'll get to some of those questions and you'll be able to reach out with some of your questions as well. So thank you very much for those great questions and we'll move along. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the study link. So it's a free short online subjects that get you prepared for uni and get you a head start in your degree. So there are over 30 subjects available to choose from in multiple disciplines. You don't have to be studying a course at Charles Sturt University to enroll in StudyLink, and I'll pop the link to some more information in the chat. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining us tonight. We hope this session has shown you how achievable and rewarding online study can be with Charles Sturt. And don't forget, you can catch any of the sessions in our on-demand library, which I'll add to the chat in a moment as well. So I just wanted to say thank you everyone who attended, and thanks to all the great questions coming through and being really engaging with us. I also wanted to send a big thank you to Dr. Rachel Hutchison and Dr. Claire Power for being with us today. If you'd like to learn more or are ready to start to have those conversations, please reach out. I will add the contact link, but we've also obviously given you the direct email for Rachel and Claire to actually have a conversation with them. So, but yeah, thanks again and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Bye.